Busted! Bob Menendez. Wow, huh? Just an allegation at this point. And you know what? He did beat the rap once before, so who knows what's going to happen this time. However, right now, it's my turn to talk about Bob Menendez. People have been talking about him all day long. But as usual, I have some observations that have never occurred to anyone else on the planet. Number one, it all started so innocent, so beautiful for Bob Menendez back in 2006, at least as far as the United States Senate goes.
I want you to know that I will wake up every morning and work as hard for you as I possibly can in the United States Senate over the next 6 years. I understand that I am a new face to most of the people of this great state. But everyone in New Jersey should know this about me. Every single hour of every single day for the next 6 years, I will dedicate myself to earning your trust and making you proud for the confidence you have given me tonight.
He's going to work every hour of every day? Now, technically, that was for the first 6 years, right? That was all the way from 06 to 12. So more recently, I don't think he made that commitment. Look at him here, having fun with some guy in the Dominican Republic, having fun with that girlfriend, now wife, who she's also in trouble in this, may have had a big role, and just going to exotic place after exotic place. I mean, this is not a guy who's working day in and day out, hour by hour, for the people of New Jersey. And of course, career politicians, they got to take care of themselves. And sometimes they take care of themselves a bit too much. Here's the U.S. Attorney, Damian Williams.
Today I'm announcing that my office has obtained a 3-count indictment charging Senator Robert Menendez, his wife Nadine Menendez, and 3 New Jersey businessmen, Wael Hanna, Jose Uribe, and Fred Davies, for bribery offenses. The senator and his wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes in exchange for Senator Menendez using his power and influence to protect and to enrich those businessmen and to benefit the government of Egypt. The indictment alleges that Hanna, Uribe, and Davies provided bribes in the form of cash, gold, home mortgage payments, a low-show or a no-show job for Nadine Menendez, a Mercedes-Benz, and other things of value to the senator and his wife.
Yikes. And here's the alleged loot. They raided the house. Here's the Mercedes, the C-Class Mercedes, apparently the dream car of Nadine. Here's the cash they found. They say they found literally in the pockets of the U.S. Senate shirt and jacket. Do you know senators get shirts and jackets, official shirts and jackets? Apparently they do. And gold bars all over the place. One of these bars is worth $60,000. There were about 3 of them. Implicated in the indictment is not only Senator Menendez, but his wife, Nadine. And she is said to be, well, on the spunky side. The meat and potatoes of the indictment go like this. Number 1, accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes in exchange for using Menendez's power and influence as a senator and to benefit the Arab Republic of Egypt. What's with Egypt? Next, please. Menendez provided sensitive U.S. government information and took other steps that secretly aided the government of Egypt. And agents found cash, gold, luxury, right? Over $480,000 in cash stuffed into envelopes and hidden in clothing, closets, and a safe. Another $70,000 in Nadine's safe deposit box. They even figured out the DNA on the envelopes that held the cash belonged to, one of the businessman's drivers. So they did DNA testing. And then there's this text message they shared with us from Bob Menendez to his wife. This is an unusual text message between husband and wife. Tell Will I am going to sign off this sale to Egypt today. Egypt, 46,120 mm, that's millimeter, target practice rounds and 10,000 rounds of tank ammunition for $99 million. Okay, husband and wives always talk about tank ammunition. Note, these tank rounds are for tanks they have had for many years. They are using these in the Sinai for the counter-terrorism campaign. I think that was a message maybe to anybody who might ever read these text messages that Bob thought that they were being used for peaceful purposes. These allegations, right, this is criminal conduct. This, we know, we can spot, I mean, if he's guilty, this is a crime. You compare this stuff to the stuff they're charging President Trump with and Rudy Giuliani with and the rest, all right? We all know the difference between a real crime and the fake setup job they've got going, the non-crimes, President Trump, that they're making a federal case out of. The prosecutors, we've gone through their indictments, and they are, compared to what I just saw against Menendez, they are laugh out loud, funny, if not stupid, and totally sad. Let's start with Bragg, the local DA in Manhattan who disgraced himself and a good chunk of the legal community, quite frankly, with this hideous, totally absurd indictment and reasoning.
In order to complete the scheme, they plan to mischaracterize the repayments to Mr. Cohen as income to the New York State tax authorities.
I have never heard of a scheme like that, a criminal scheme like that, right? They disguise the money as income to the tax authorities. I mean, I've heard of other things. I've heard of hiding money in the pockets of the shirt you got from the U.S. Senate, but disguising it as income to the tax authorities, that's strange. How about Fani Willis, that legal eagle from Georgia? 19 people she's going after, including President Trump. You want to see some of the crimes that are in her indictment? Let's go through it. Like really serious stuff, like sending a text message, placed a telephone call, left a voicemail message, tweeted from the Twitter account of real Donald Trump, that kind of stuff. It goes on. Somebody tried to speak to, I think, the neighbor of Ruby. Remember Lady Ruby? Somebody knocked on her door. Somebody said they could assist with his effort to speak to Ruby Freeman. That's not a crime. And neither is this from another one of these corrupt prosecutors, Tish James. It's her turn. How did she actually graduate from law school? But take a look.
They received a series of bank-ordered appraisals for the commercial property at 40 Wall Street in New York City that calculated the value of the property at $200 million as of August 2010 and $220 million as of November 2012. Yet, in his 2011 statement, Mr. Trump listed 40 Wall Street with a value of $524 million, which increased to $530 million over the next 2 years.
Wow. Now, this is what really got me suspicious. I actually know something about 40 Wall Street. For 10 years, I lived about a half mile away from 40 Wall Street. It is an iconic New York building. It is one of the tallest buildings in the city. It's a pre-war building, Art Deco. It's really a fabulous building. Tish James says that this building in 2011 was worth $200 million, all right? Tish James, who barely graduated from law school, says it was worth $200. Donald Trump, who has spent his life in real estate, says the building is valued at $524 million. Now, seriously, just off the top of your head, forget about everything else. Who knows more about real estate? I know more about Tish James. I do. I read the newspaper. Sometimes I glance at the real estate section. And living in New York, I'm kind of curious about what buildings cost. So we did the comparables, the comps, they call it, back in 2011. This building, 230 Park Avenue, $750,000. It sold for that year. Not nearly as famous, by the way, in my opinion, as 40 Wall Street. Next, please. In 2010, a building at 340 Madison Avenue sold for $570 million. Now, this building, by the way, is a generic building. You would never notice it walking by. It's not iconic. It's not historic. Next, please. It's so easy, by the way, to debunk this nonsense. 2007, 666 Fifth Avenue, an iconic building, very well known, sold for $1.8 billion. Now, granted, that's bigger than 40 Wall Street, and there was the real estate crash afterwards, but those other buildings were roughly the same size. Tish James, not a smart person, insists this building is worth $200 million. She doesn't know what she's talking about. It's just a desperate effort to get Trump, just like Jack Smith, the other prosecutor. We got to get to him now. What did he say was so criminal? Remember? The newspapers that Donald Trump kept. In the indictment, it says Trump gathered newspapers, press clippings, letters, notes, cards, photographs, official and other official materials in cardboard boxes. And yeah, some of those materials were found at Mar-a-Lago. Is this evidence of a crime? Really, a crime? You compare this to the gold found in the guy's pockets in his house and the cash and the car in the driveway. Americans know what a real crime is. We know what a fake, trumped-up, nonsense, harassment indictment looks like. I feel like he, though, followed the career politician trap that I think Joe Biden followed as well. This guy, Bob Menendez, spent his whole life in politics, right? And what do when you spend your whole life in politics? You're constantly raising money, and you have to hang out with wealthy people to do that. And you start to think that you're entitled, that you should be wealthy as well. And you're not by definition of your salary. Joe Biden, life in politics, right? From his 20s and on and on and on and on and on. Yeah. Joe Biden, actually, a weird moment of clarity, maybe too much clarity, put it this way.
The fortunate thing is I didn't have many larger contributors, and the only reason, see, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself.
Ready to prostitute himself for campaign contributions? If you're ready to do that and say it out loud, I think you might be able to prostitute yourself for a little bit of extra cash for that house, for that boat, for that car, for whatever it is you're into, Joe. And Joe is into a lot. You know, again, it's that proximity to rich people. And Joe had a very important job for a long time. And he used to say that we need more money. We should get more money because we're so important. He's quoted as saying this throughout the years. Back in 1974, I believe we should strive to reach the point where members of Congress give up the right to all income but their annual salaries. But here's the but. And we can come to that point only when our annual salaries fully reflect the magnitude of our duties and responsibilities. So when you're passing like trillion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar budgets, you think you deserve a hell of a lot more money than $200,000 or whatever it is. And you find yourself in this trap. And the rich people, you're more important than they are, but look at all that stuff that they get. You start to mooch off them. Joe is really, I mean, no shame about mooching. Staying at rich people's houses, just kind of inviting himself over and staying there. You get lost, I'm going to be here for a while. It's crazy. Who does this? Would you ever do it? I mean, nobody would do this. Even if you had a non-rich friend, you don't stay in somebody's house when they're not there. I think it's just... Anyway, back to Bob Menendez for a moment. He was very much around rich people, even at work.
And that's somewhat transformative versus what we do here in the Congress on annual basis. So I wonder, do you have any thoughts in that regard as well? I'd love to hear from both of you.
Well, first, I think it's very important.
Bill Clinton, and that's Bill Gates. Bill Clinton and Bill Gates. What do you think happened after the hearing, before the hearing, right? They all want it, right? They get bored of power. They want money. And I think this guy, I think this is part of the reason why he went down. Now, we'll see. He's busted right now, but he beat the rap once before. You know, he was charged with corruption back in 2016, and in 2017, it was a hung jury. And the judge dismissed all the charges against Senator Menendez. The prosecutors requested that. This case right now has nothing to do with the old case. And Jack Smith had a hand in that old case. So everybody is innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't look good, but right now, as of tonight, he's an innocent man.